On into Proverbs 31, and I'll read it out of a familiar translation, and then we'll go a little more in depth out of another translation. Give an ear. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. The prophecy that his mother taught him. What, my son? And what the son of my womb? And what the son of my vows? Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, nor princes strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. Open thy mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field, and buyeth it with the fruit of her hands. She planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing. Strength and honor are her clothing. And she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously. but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. A different translation. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy with which his mother disciplined him. The prophecy with which his mother disciplined him. No, my son, no, son of my womb, no, son of my vows. Don't give your strength to women, or your ways to that which destroys kings. It is not for kings, Lemuel, not for kings to drink wine. It is not for rulers to ask, where can I find strong liquor? For they may drink, then forget what has been decreed, and pervert the justice due to the poor. Give strong liquor to one who is perishing, wine to the deeply depressed. Let him drink, forget his poverty, and cease to remember his troubles. Speak up for those who can't speak for themselves, for the rights of all who need an advocate. Speak up, judge righteously. Defend the cause of the poor and the needy. Who can find a capable wife? Her value is far beyond that of pearls. Her husband trusts her from his heart. Her husband trusts her from his heart. Her husband trusts her from his heart. And she will prove a great asset to him. She works to bring him good, not harm. She works to bring him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She procures a supply of wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like those merchant vessels bringing her food from far away. It is still dark when she rises to give food to her household and orders to the young women serving her. She considers a field, then buys it, and from her earnings she plants a vineyard. She gathers her strength around her and throws herself into her work. She gathers her strength around her and throws herself into her work. She sees that her business affairs go well. Her lamp stays lit at night. She puts her hand to the staff with the flax. Her fingers hold the spinning rod. She reaches out to embrace the poor and opens her arms to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, since all of them are doubly clothed. She makes her own quilts. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is known at the gate. Her husband is known at the city gates when he sits with the leaders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She supplies the merchants with sashes. Clothed with strength and dignity. Clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. When she opens her mouth, she speaks wisely. When she opens her mouth, she speaks wisely. On her tongue is loving instruction. On her tongue is loving instruction. She watches how things go in her house, not eating the bread of idleness. Her children arise. They make her happy. Her husband too, as he praises her. Many women have done wonderful things, but you surpass them all. Charm can lie. Beauty can vanish. But a woman who fears Yah shall be praised. Give her a share in what she produces. Let her works speak her praises at the city gates. Now, we've heard two translations, and the one that we're all familiar with, and some of us probably almost know it by heart, which is the King James Version. And it's generally been considered that every woman considers herself a Proverbs 31 woman. And if you consider yourself that, then let it be so. Regardless of what anybody else thinks, if you see that in yourself, so be it. But when we heard another translation, it gave a little more information as to what denotes a woman of virtue. And if after having heard what was read, you still believe that you're a Proverbs 31 woman, so be it. Let it be so. There was a lot of instruction given in the second translation. And if we notice, in the first, it says, the prophecy that his mother taught him. And in another translation, it says, the prophecy with which his mother disciplined him. Now, in this country, you know, we do a lot of teaching, and we also get disciplined, and we usually get disciplined when we get out of line. You can be taught whether you're doing good or bad. In the second translation, it says, with which his mother disciplined him. So as long as he was carrying himself in a way that was representing the household, she was okay. But every time he got out of line, she would discipline him with, I like to say, Torah. You see, we're teaching all the time. We're teaching all the time. Some of us teach more of what not to do as opposed to what we should be doing. And that's not and I'm not talking about the people assembled here. I'm talking about people in general throughout the world. Those in the ark of safety and those that are not yet in the ark of safety. People, every day, we're teaching. Every day. And a lot of what we teach is based on the choices and decisions that we make. And in the present climate, it is so important that we make good, solid, non-emotional decisions. No, my son, no, son of my womb, no, son of my vows. Don't give your strength to women, or your ways to that which destroys kings. It's not for kings, Lemuel, not for kings to drink wine. Glad I'm not a king. It is not for rulers to ask, where can I find strong liquor? Ouch. For they may drink, then forget what has been decreed and pervert the justice due to the poor. What she's saying to him is, son, don't do anything that's going to cause you to have a setback in your life. For most men, there are three things that we have to get a handle on. And there are three major ways we can have a lot of setbacks in our lives. I mean, and the same goes for ladies too, but right now we're dealing with a mother discipline her son so that he can grow up to be like his father. Because she made a quality decision by joining up with the man that she joined up with to produce Lemuel. Now, of course, they didn't get married like we do today. The families probably had a whole lot to do with all of that, and they talked and, they had the contract and all of that. But nevertheless, a decision had to be made. And what I was saying earlier about the fellas, most of us realize if you don't get a handle on alcohol, if you don't get a handle on drugs, and be they prescription or street, those two things can keep you from being what you were created to be. And most guys can do fairly well at navigating around those two things. Not all are able to navigate around those two items. And some have even learned how to be functional while still partaking in excess of those items. But the one that get us all is how we interact with the ladies. World leaders, people that are considered of great renown. I mean, what is it, Helen of Troy? A war got started over Helen of Troy. It's so important that we learn how to properly interact with one another so that we don't become a hindrance to each other being all that we're supposed to be for the sake of not only society, not only for the sake of your particular house of worship, but of course so that you can please the one that made you. I think it's interesting that in Proverbs, the mother was dealing with her son, and she was giving him sage advice, sage correction. Because she knew the pitfalls that most guys have a problem with. I mean, and nowadays, everything is so mixed up because now we got other groups of people. And so now some people have an extra hurdle to deal with. And that goes both ways also, because you got confused people, you got confused males, you have confused females. But in a lot of cases, in dealing with individuals that are dealing with these hindrances in life, if you ask enough questions, some of the confused people have bouts where they have a lengthy period of time they spend with alcohol or with drugs. And some feel that they're trying to drown out the other decisions that they've made in their life as to how they want to live. But those two things anyway that I outlined is very important that you get a handle on that. Be you male or female. Because they are a hindrance to you being all that you were created to be. It's a hindrance for us all. It is not for kings. It's not for rulers to ask, where can I find strong liquor? For they may drink and then forget what has been decreed, and pervert the justice due to the poor. Give strong liquor to one who is perishing, wine to the deeply depressed. Remember, we all know, particularly those that partake of wine, we all know about the verse where it said Paul told Timothy to take some wine for his stomach's sake. You know, and you know, some of the medical profession will say, you know, a glass, not a bottle, a glass of wine, you know, they say it's good for your health. But most of us might not stop at a glass. I know in the insurance industry that I spent a lot of years in, a lot of those folk, we did some drinking. But I thought it was interesting. Give strong liquor to one who is perishing, wine to the deeply depressed. Let him drink, forget his poverty, and cease to remember his troubles. And so, you know, a lot of times, you know, your family, sometimes when they get upset with you because you go overboard, you know, they'll say, well, why do you drink in excess? You know, I clean, you know, they're really restaurants, but I used to call them clubs, Neil and my dad. But they, you know, they serve a lot of alcohol. And I was in there this morning, and inevitably, people consume too much, and what they ate and what they drank, some of it come back out, you know. But they'll go to work, well, Tuesday, because Monday most people are off, but they'll go to work and say, man, I had a great weekend. My cousin was telling me that fella that he worked with, his idea of a great weekend was to go out, he'd go to the club, and he inevitably would consume too much and get in a fight. And he asked him, he said, well, why do you consider that a good weekend? I mean, there are a lot of people, they consume so much they can't even remember. So you begin to ask questions. You go, well, why drink in excess? Why deal with the drugs in excess? What is it that what troubles are you taking a vacation from? And let me say this, I'm not saying this in judgment. I'm saying these are the decisions people make. Friday come, maybe they worked all week. And, you know, a lot of us would say, well, hey, you know, I had a rough week. And so, you know, I just want to go out, I guess, and enjoy myself, but Um, I know in my youth I was cheap. But you go to the places and the drinks were so watered down, you got to buy a whole lot of them just to feel anything. But then for those that frequent that, after a while you start realizing it's the same people coming in there. And Arthur and I, we used to kid each other all the time and say, you go end up marrying one of them girls sitting at the bar with a cigarette hanging out her mouth, half drunk. I said, no, I'm not, you are. Some people drink because they're depressed. Some people, we go too far with drugs because we're depressed. Depression is an emotion. Things happen in our lives that are very unpleasant. And sometimes you just want to not feel anything. So that's why a person might go in excess with alcohol and drugs, because for a period of time, they just don't want to feel anything. They're tired of feeling depressed. They're tired of the rule of the day. They're tired of the reality that they are currently experiencing. Now, again, I'm not justifying, but a lot of us, we might ask, well, why do people go overboard? Because for a period of time, they just don't want to feel anything. What they're feeling has gotten so heavy on them. Don't raise your hands. Have any of you ever experienced gravity actually pushing down on you? Don't raise your hands. I have had that experience where I literally felt like gravity was pushing me down. And, in our youth, when we're in our teens and early 20s, you're like the Energizer Bunny. But as you get older, you start noticing. The weather didn't bother you. You didn't care whether it was raining or sunshine, whether it was hot or cold. If you wanted to go out, you were going out. But when I felt that, I was in a depressed state, but I literally could feel gravity pushing me down. And I was like, wow. And I said, man, I got to get out of this. I choose to think about something else. See, saints, sometimes you got to tell your brain, oh, okay, stop. This is just too much. Because, see, the more we keep thinking about something and you play it over and over and over in your head, and if it makes you sad, it just makes you sadder. If it makes you angry, you get angrier. Well, when those type of thoughts and things try to visit you, sometimes you got, not today, not today. And I mean, it just shows up sometimes. You might be on your job, got to get that report out, got to get that project finished, and here it comes. But see, right then and there, you got to make a decision. Hold it, time out. We got to make a decision. Am I going to keep entertaining this? And see, if we're not careful, you'll start to give in to it. Don't raise your hands. Have you ever met somebody that they just seem melancholy all the time? Remember that, was that Charlie Brown? Was it Pigpen or whatever? Somebody had, one of them was, the dude was down all the time. You know, you can't be around people. You feel for them, but you can't take but so much of that. And see, if you're already down and here they come, and you saying, well, man, have you ever tried to cheer somebody up when you were depressed yourself? That's really hard. That's really, really, really hard. And so that's why people start self-medicating and over-medicating, because you just don't want to feel anything. You're tired of feeling the pressure and the draining. Sometimes it'll just suck the joy right out of you if you're not careful. But now, having told you that I had that experience, I have also had just the opposite. There are periods of time where, man, it's like and it scares me because I'm really not hee ha ha happy, but it's like it just comes to me that, hey, man, it's gonna be all right. And I feel I know within myself, I'm feeling that I'm gaining strength more and more, and I'm looking for my old enjoyment of life to return. I can feel it coming back, and I pray that the same is happening for many of you. These have been some tough days, but I have that, and it's coming more and more and more often, and it's much needed. I've been praying for all of us. I've been going to the Most High. I said, look, we need a reprieve. We need a reprieve. We really need a reprieve. I remember Robert said, he said, you will laugh again. And I keep playing that over in my head that, yeah, he's right. But that's a decision you got to make for yourself. You know, we got funeral fatigue. We do. You know, and some people have expressed, well, you know, I try to do this and I try to do that. And I just share with them, listen, do what you can. Do what you can. Right now, everybody understands. Everybody understands. And now I'm talking mostly in the what we call the church community. But don't add more depression to yourself. Well, I didn't make it to this. I didn't make it to that. The people that were going through it, they understand. They understand. I know y'all saying, I didn't see all of that in Proverbs 31. Well, yeah, it's in there. It's in there. Getting back to our interaction with one another, saints, it's very important that we develop the right kind of trust among one another, because we do have a duty to each other to support one another, that we can become all that He created us to be. And so if we're going overboard in those other two areas, we really got to toe the line when it comes to interacting with one another. Because that's how other people try to make themselves numb. But when they do that, now you're involving another person. And they're thinking one thing, and you just trying to, again, you just don't want to feel anything. Well, when human beings start interacting, you're going to feel something. And so again, it's so important that we say, okay, no, I choose to keep things proper between us so that we can really have one another's back. Because that's going to be very important. Very important. Extremely important. Give strong liquor to one who is perishing, wine to the deeply depressed. Let him drink, forget his poverty, and cease to remember his troubles. Speak up for those who can't speak for themselves, for the rights of all who need an advocate. Speak up for those who can't speak for themselves, for the rights of all who need an advocate. Speak up, judge righteously, defend the cause of the poor and the needy. But remember this, we are interested in what the church world calls evangelism, but we are no longer going after just the poor and the needy. We're going after the poor and the needy that are seeking Yah. That's who we want to evangelize. We're guilty, and so is 98% of the church world. We just thought, hey, poor, needy, let's evangelize. Right. That's what we thought we were doing. But really, we were just doing acts of chesed, which that is wonderful too. But that's just an act of kindness. And I don't mean when I say just an act, I don't mean it like it's nothing. It's a great thing, particularly to the person in need. Particularly to that person that's poor. But how much more blessed would it be for all the offerings that we've taken and all the resources that we've gathered to be able to share it with the poor and the needy who are seeking. That's how you build your congregation. Because see, The government tried to help the poor and the needy with moratorium. And I've told you before, not all wealthy people are bad people, but I also told you not all poor people are virtuous either. People need to look up that word moratorium. That means just a delay. You still got to pay. Some of them, I guess, assume that means I don't have to pay at all. Yeah, you do. Didn't you stay there? Where's your integrity? See, when you just help poor and needy, and we should, but they're not seeking. If they were seeking, they would know that, hey, I eventually got to try to do something to rectify the situation.
Right.
But people that are just poor and needy, they're looking for the next one.
Right.
We need another moratorium, they would say. And I've told you before, there's no free lunch. Eventually, it's got to be paid for. And the more that they put in the economy, the less value the money that you have saved, that value is going down. Which takes what? Inflation. And I know this is, I'm not talking politics. I'm still talking life. Speak up, judge righteously, defend the cause of the poor and the needy, particularly the poor and the needy that are seeking.
Right.
Because, true enough, yes, there's a scripture that says if you have it within your power to do good, then do it. And it didn't qualify then. Hey, in other words, if you can help out in a situation, then do it. Didn't say whether they were seeking or not. And most people would do that. But, this thing about evangelism was just another program to help grow the church. The more members you get, hopefully, the more tithes you might get. You might. Speak up for those who can't speak for themselves, for the rights of all who need, for the rights of all who need an advocate. Speak up, judge righteously, defend the cause of the poor and the needy. It says defend the cause. Now, all of us know that scripture that said, the poor you will have with you always. And we also know that there's a scripture that says, they are rich, they are poor. Yah made them both. Not the devil. Who can find a capable wife? Her value is far beyond that of pearls. Her husband trusts her from his heart. And she will prove a great asset to him. Now, that's interesting. Let me read that again. Her value is far beyond that of pearls. Her husband trusts her from his heart. Now, we all know that when they talk about the heart, they're not talking about the thing that's pumping the blood.
Right.
But because we have been so heavily influenced by Greek, and I'm not talking against Greek people or Roman people, listen, don't raise your hands. How many of us fell in love by how, remember how my palms got sweaty and, I get, they say when, if a lady like you, she fidget with her hair and do all kind of, I was like, Lord have mercy, she got something wrong with her, We fell in love because of what we felt. There again, the emotions. When he's talking about her husband trusts her from his heart, he's trusting her from here. See, if he's done his homework, and I pray he's done his homework before he asks her to marry him, I hope. But a lot of us, we got caught up in the moment. Oh my, we have fallen, we have sinned. And what do most church people say? Well, you got to get married. Right?
Yep. That's correct.
That's what most church people will say. I ain't gonna have y'all throwing at me. See, even when we watch the movies, all of that, folks, is that's heavy Greek influence. And I tell you what, let's forget young adulthood. Let's go back to I don't know, let's 6th, 7th grade.
Right.
Okay, now that's when she's pretty.
Yep.
Oh, he's cute. And back in the day, Greg probably had that real wavy hair.
No, I had that afro.
Men, we are optical, I don't know, ladies, what you like, but I'm trying to show you something that we, again, were pushed in a direction. See, that's a very serious situation to get involved in. You need more than she make my liver quiver. You really, seriously, you need more than that. Again, please don't everybody look up at this
Torah.
scroll. Yeah, look at the scroll. See, every time, particularly when it comes to what we call love, we followed the wrong people. And I'm not trashing them. This has real heavy Greek influence. Real heavy. Real, extremely heavy. very important considerations in life is who you marry. Very, very, very important. Because see, it just don't affect the two people. It doesn't. You know, and here in the States, you know, you'll have people say, well, shoot, oh, don't worry about that. If the family don't like you, you ain't marrying them. Yes, you are. Yeah, you are.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And anytime, and I know y'all tired of me saying this, oh, listen, I don't care who you dealing with. Who you dealing with, that's your business. Do not, let me say this again, do not cut your family out when you're thinking about something that serious. Because they may see something that you don't see. Especially if you are, oh, he's just so fine. And I mean, you know, same thing with us. Oh, man, you wait, oh, she's begging. That's us. That's the guys. Oh, girl, he's just so cute. And let me tell you something. Be careful giving the apple of your eye too much props to others. Because in that little group, somebody might have their eye on your man or your woman. People, look. We need to be more serious when it comes to that. Getting married has become now it look like the younger people, they don't want to do it, you know, or they just don't seem that interested in it. And I don't know whether we've done a poor job by what we've been teaching. Remember I said earlier, we teaching all the time what to do, what not to do. Two minutes. Of course, the next time I had the privilege of coming before you, we'll take this up because I know of at least one young lady that want to hear something about Proverbs 31, and we're going to finish this. But guys, I can't impress upon you enough. Very serious life decisions should be made with as little emotion as possible, because your feelings will change. That cute little that's going to get on your nerves in about 3 years. Oh, I just love how she play in my hair. I thought, get your hands off my head. See, people do change even while they're together.
True.
Some want to be in God just enough to get married. And then if you marry somebody that want to go all the way, now it's going to be interesting. And I'm not anti. If he for it, I'm for it. Okay? I got enough gravity pushing me down. But we're going to get through this. I see it, Reg. We're going to get through this. But I'm trying to set the table because we're going to have some decisions to make. We're going to have some decisions to make as a church. You're going to have some decisions to make pertaining to your home life. If you're going to still have a home, and he's going to be with us through all of it, but I'll leave you with this. If it was designed that everybody that, I guess, desired to be married can't the one that made all we see and all we don't see is it in his will that everybody be married? I know what the church answer is, and I'm not asking you to answer. Just think about it. I'll see you next time.
All right.